podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
No breaks. No breaks. No fear. No fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome back, I'm Ian Brannan, and on this week's episode I'm joined by Dale Allitt, who is the Operations Director at Peterborough Speedway and Kings Lynn Speedway, as well as being a promoter at Kings Lynn and previously a team manager. He's done loads in Speedway, and Peterborough is the venue for the new Premiership Pairs competition. We'll have a full look ahead to that. Plus we'll look back at the action on Monday night, live on Eurosport. It was the Sheffield Tigers who sprang a bit of a surprise on the Ipswich Witches.
Go around the outside, he's going to win the race, but the night will belong to the Tigers.
We'll hear from the victorious Kyle Howarth and Simon Stead, plus Richie Hawkins ruining a missed opportunity after the Ipswich Witches got off to such a great start in that fixture. We'll also hear a little from Mark Lemon as well, as Belle Vue defeated the Kings Lynn Stars, but only just, and Kings Lynn claimed their first points on the road. And we'll look ahead to the fixtures coming up over the next week or so as well. And as Dale Allitt joins us, he can update us on the situation regarding Niels Christian Everson. Is he here to stay? And we'll have a look ahead to all the lineups and everything that's in store for the Premiership Pairs competition, which gets underway at one of the tracks Dale Allitt looks after, of course, as the Director of Operations, Peterborough. And that all begins on Monday.
No breaks, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Lots to get through, another busy week in British Speedway and a brand new competition to tell you about as well. But first of all, let's introduce our guest who's joining us through the course of the episode today. It's Operations Director at Peterborough Panthers and the Kings Lynn Stars, Dale Allitt. Dale, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you along, and tell us about the season so far, because with Kings Lynn and Peterborough, must be a busy time for you and mixed fortunes for the two sides.
Yeah, I mean, this time of year is always, full on as you start to get into the season. And ironically, last year was two clubs with completely different fortunes. And Peterborough started really well this year with a home and away win over Ipswich. But found things a little bit tough the last few matches with riders being a little bit out of form. But I'm sure they'll get that right. They're a very experienced team, so they've been there and done that. And Kings Lynn off the back of a point at Belle Vue, which was a really good result for them on Monday.
Well, let's talk about that fixture right now, because Kings Lynn opened their Premiership account with a battling effort to take a league point from a 48-42 defeat at Belle Vue. The Miners and Brady Stars fought back from 12 points down to force a last-heat decider, and although Max Frick secured a win for the Aces, Niels Christian Everson did enough to secure the visitors some reward as well, with that 1 point on the board in the league for the away win at the National Speedway Stadium. In a moment, we'll hear from Alex Brady. First of all, to you, Dale. I mean, it must be great to get that first point on the board, and particularly at a place like Belle Vue, where, of course, you well know that Peterborough had such a tough time at the start of the season there with such a huge hammering against Belle Vue. To come away with a point is a great reward.
Yeah, the boys did a great job, as did Alex, because they were down up to Heat 10 and they fought back really well. Going into the last few heats, it could have gone either way really, but to come away from a point, having been, I think it was 12 points down at one stage, it's a very, very good result, and we'll see what happens in the return fixture at Kings Lynn on Thursday night.
Well, after the fixture at the National Speedway Stadium, Lee Wild caught up with Alex Brady.
Alex, tough result for the Kings Lynn boys, but you pushed the home team all the way.
Yeah, we did. I mean, after Heat 10, I thought it was written off a little bit, but it shows the character within this group to fight back and come away with a hard-earned point tonight. So, yeah, pleased overall. We came for four, but I'll take one.
What were you doing in the pits to spark that comeback? Because it was a real turnaround.
It wasn't me, it's the boys. They knew they hadn't done themselves justice in sort of middle block of heats, so they knew they had to pull together, and yeah, it's nothing to do with me, it's all down to them. So yeah, they pulled together and made some starts and did their jobs.
Track conditions were tough tonight. How much did the team come into that with their knowledge?
Yeah, it's difficult. Obviously, this place is a leveller anyway at the best of times. Obviously, the track conditions as they were, it made it real leveller. So it's quite even at the start. They adjusted a little bit quicker than we did, as you'll probably see from Heat 7 through to round 10. But then once we made those changes, we proved we're a match for them. So hopefully when we come back here in a few weeks' time, we'll be much stronger.
Well, Kings Lynn co-promoter and Director of Operations at Kings Lynn and Peterborough is Dale Allitt, and he's with us in this episode. And you don't have to wait that long for revenge, because this Thursday, Belle Vue, of course, is going to be the visitors at the Adrian Flux Arena. Not quite sure exactly what the lineup's going to be for Belle Vue at the time of recording this, but always stern opposition.
Yes, very much so. I think Kings Lynn have got some great riders that go really well, around Kings Lynn. So it'll be a really interesting meeting, and if the racing's anything like it has been at Kings Lynn the last few meetings, especially with Josh Pickering, who produced another stunning ride on Monday, then I think the fans are in for a treat.
And Josh Pickering, you mentioned there, I mean, what entertainment he provided at the National Speedway Stadium, taking on the man who won the Grand Prix at the weekend in Warsaw, Max Frick, and keeping at him throughout the race, and in the last lap steaming past him. Exciting stuff, but I mean, fans of Edinburgh, fans of Sheffield will be no stranger to the antics of Josh Pickering, and now as captain as well, a real captain's performance and exciting to watch.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing it at Kings Lynn a few times. Some of the racing, the moves he's pulled off are amazing. So we're kind of getting used to that from Josh, but very determined and got a big future. Like you say, Max won the Grand Prix on Saturday, and on that particular occasion, Josh, went past like he was stood still. So a lot of rivalry between the Aussies as well. So I think we're in for with Brady as well, a good night Thursday.
We've seen some exciting racing, particularly among the Australian contingent. Is there a sort of some kind of side league going on within the Aussie camp? Because some of the races you think, why are they going at it so much? And it's exciting to watch, but what's the score with the Aussies?
Yeah, they all want to be the bragging rights. I know Josh has said he wants to beat every one of every team throughout the season with the Aussies. So he's knocking them off as he's doing it. So he's a breath of fresh air, to be fair. And as you said earlier, he's really stepped up to the captain's role.
Just to talk about the two clubs that you work across at the moment with both Peterborough and Kings Lynn, the two sides' fortunes have reversed, you could argue, this season. Peterborough had a terrific year last year. Kings Lynn didn't have the best of it. This year we've seen Kings Lynn get off to a great start, getting to the League Cup final. Peterborough struggling with their results so far. But that's how Speedway can go sometimes, isn't it? And the fortunes have reversed.
Yeah, I mean, like we said earlier, the first two matches, home and away win over Ipswich. And it's been difficult for Peterborough because they faced Kings Lynn firstly without Ben Basso, who was on under-21 duty, and then came to Kings Lynn without Michael Palm-Toff. So they've had a few issues with their team, everyone being on available at the same time. But one thing with that, the Grand Prix riders that they've got in there in Bomber and Scott Nichols and Hans, they've got loads of experience, and I'm sure that they'll put that right. Sometimes results don't always tell the whole story, so we'll see what happens. I think Peterborough were quite capable of going on a run and rectifying that.
That's Dale Allitt. He's our guest this week on No Breaks, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast. And speaking about one of Dale's tracks in more detail in the next part of this, because it is going to be the Premiership Pairs starting on Monday, and it gets underway at Peterborough. So more about that to come. Right now, just turn our attention for a little while to the fixture that was on Eurosport on Monday night. If you're watching that, it was at Foxhall, and it was Sheffield who produced a fine comeback at Ipswich to maintain their magnificent start to the season.
Sheffield Tigers stamping their authority on heat number 14. It's going to go to the last race, but the pressure will be on the home team, well and truly. Here we go, one more corner. They come to the conclusion of the race. Super stuff from the Tigers. They're in charge with one more race to go. Massive 5-1 in heat number 14. They've got a 4-point lead going into heat 15.
The Sheffield Trooplant Tigers ran out 47-43 winners at Foxhall on Monday, despite being 8 points down with just 2 races gone. They almost found themselves on the receiving end of a third straight 5-1 in heat 3 before captain Carl Howarth and Tobias Musalak benefited from a mistake from Witches skipper Danny King in a key early moment. From then on in, the Tigers found their feet with 7 race winners and 6 heat advantages as they added another 3 league points to their Premiership tally. We'll hear from team boss of the Ipswich Witches, Richie Hawkins, in a moment, but first let's hear the thoughts of the victorious Simon Stead and Sheffield captain Kyle Howarth speaking with Samer Malenko on Eurosport.
First of all, Kyle, team captain, great effort from your side.
Yeah, definitely. From after the first 2 weeks, that wasn't the game plan at the start, but we managed to come back and we ticked away through the meeting and we started making a few little changes, what would help us, and the team, we just kept performing and working together and we managed to get the job done in the end.
There's nothing like coming down to heat 15, is it, Simon?
Well, I'd prefer not to, but for the neutral, it's great, isn't it? But, I always felt confident that, even after the first couple, I knew if we could find the setup, keep working hard, doing what we're doing, we're bouncing off each meeting, and it was important to just concentrate on what we were doing and getting through the meeting. And look, we got to heat 15 and got the job done. That was the most important thing.
It's quite impressive when you get a team that is going to an away match and you start not finding your feet from straight off, and you got to really dig deep, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. It's been a bit of a slow start for the Sheffield Tigers. Obviously, we've had a bit of a gap. We got going, and then we've had a bit of a gap, and we've got a good run of meetings now. And you could just tell the lads, it's just a good bunch of lads who are having fun, and 7 lads who are just coming here. And like I said, we was a bit slow off the mark today, but we come in, and after everyone had a ride, we made a few changes. We knew what gates were working better, and we kind of worked on that to help us.
To have Chris Harris in the team for Jack Holder, I mean, he came in, didn't look so good at the beginning, did he? But he picked himself up.
None of us, apart from Kyle, looked very good in the beginning. So I think what you do get with Bomber is always 110%, and that's why we picked him. We knew he would come here and give it his best shot. Obviously, I would have liked to have turned out with Jack. We like to be a full, complete 7. But Bomber, in fairness to him, he always gives 110%, and he came in and did a great job.
Sheffield team manager Simon Stead there speaking with Samer Malenko. Well, let's hear from the other side of the pits, because the Ipswich Witches must be left rueing their lead that they threw away after a fantastic start to the meeting. They let it slip away from them. Let's hear from Richie Hawkins, the Ipswich team manager, speaking to Abby Stevens from Eurosport.
Yeah, obviously after starting off so well, it's disappointing to then, lose it, but we simply weren't strong enough, really. We probably only had 2 riders out of the whole team that will be really happy with their night. Same as we've been getting away with it a little bit the last 2 meetings. We've had a few mistakes, and certainly against Sheffield, who are at the moment the strongest and informed team in the league, they've punished us.
And what do you do from this point when you have got 2 riders that were dominant, but Jason Doyle said it's just not clicking as a team?
Yeah, we didn't tonight. I think we just regroup. It's a long season, so obviously nothing's won now, so Sheffield are setting the standard, and that's what we need to increase up to, and we've got the capabilities in the team to do that. So it's not disastrous, it's not panic stations, but disappointing. But I think we regroup, and if we can win next week, we're sort of back on track.
And a brilliant night for Daniel Hume, and we were speaking to him before the meeting, and this sort of success of the Rising Star that he was able to come in and cover for Anders Rowe, but a shop window for him tonight, and he really rode well.
He's been brilliant. Daniel was with us a few years ago in the Championship and was going great until he had a really nasty injury, and he's gone away and he's come back up from the bottom league and forced his way back into the team now with us. It's a great effort, and he's certainly taken it with both hands, and he's a great lad, so he's been brilliant to have in the team.
That's the Ipswich team manager Richie Hawkins chatting with Abby Stevens on Eurosport on Monday night. Televised fixtures on Eurosport have a little bit of a break. The French Open tennis is on over the next couple of weeks, which is always going to be a gap in the schedule. But Speedway will be back in the first week of June, back live on Eurosport. In the meantime, something new coming your way. On Monday, the Premiership Pairs competition gets underway with round 1 at Peterborough. A brand new competition in British Speedway's Premiership. It's a competition that has happened on one-off occasions, of course, but this is going to be over 6 rounds, with a round at each track in the Premiership. More details about that from one of the men involved in hosting the first round at Peterborough, Dale Allitt, who's our guest in the episode today. We'll speak with Dale all about the Premiership Pairs, and we'll go through the lineups as well and much more in the next part of No Breaks, No Fear.
No Breaks, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome back. Good to have you along with us. Now for something completely different. A new competition launches in British Speedway next week. Starting on Monday, the first round of the new Premiership Pairs competition gets underway. There's going to be 6 rounds in total, a round being held at every Premiership track. The scores will accumulate as we go through the course of the competition. There's basically a round every month, really, apart from July where there's 2 rounds. And it all ends in September at Belle Vue's National Speedway Stadium. Dale Allitt is with us. Now, Dale, you, being one of the promoters in British Speedway's Premiership, were party to the discussions that happened over the course of the winter, with all the promoters looking to invent something new for British Speedway, something new for the fans. Just let us in on those discussions and how you came about this particular idea.
Yeah, lots of ideas. We had lots of meetings over the winter. It was quite obvious that because we only have 6 teams in the league at the moment, fixtures can become very repetitive. You race home and away twice, but that's only 10 fixtures for each home track. So a couple of things like the League Cup was brought back, and the pairs thought, this could be something really different. That it's 2 of the top 4 riders, so it's not always potentially going to be the same riders. Team managers have a choice of horses for courses, if you like, but it's more meetings, and hopefully the public get behind it, because as you just said, that the lineup for the first meeting at Peterborough is all the top guys really, so it should be an absolute cracking night, and hopefully it brings a bit more spice to the season for the fans as well, because it's pretty much one a month as you go forward for the rest of the year.
Now, the Premiership Pairs competition has something else that's a little bit different about it, in that it's going to be shown live on the British Speedway Network, which is the new streaming service that so far has been covering championship meetings, and now moving into the Premiership, which I can assure you, as being one of those involved with British Speedway Network, everybody's hugely excited for and excited to be visiting these tracks around the Premiership over the coming months. If you want to get your season pass for it, they're available now for £49, and you do get a discount if you're already a subscriber to the British Speedway Network. You'll have a voucher code in your emails, so check those. And there's also a chance to win a pass for all 6 meetings on the social media pages of all 6 of the Premiership clubs, plus the Speedway GB social media as well. So check those out and follow the instructions. The reason why there's an extra charge is it's an extra service. It was added on to what was already happening. The championship fixtures that were already planned are still going to be happening, so no change there. This is all extra stuff, so that's why there's a bit of an extra charge. But £49 for 6 matches with some of the world's finest riders involved, and it could all come down to a big showpiece finale in Belle Vue, because the scores are cumulative. It all rolls over from one round to the next, and it's all going to end up in Belle Vue at the National Speedway Stadium on September the 12th with a big finish.
Absolutely, and I think it will be exciting right to the end. And as you said, it's great to be on the BSN. I subscribe to it myself, so I see the product and the racing that's been on there from the championship, and I think it's a really good deal actually, because in the climate that we're living with fuel prices and everything else, that the deal to watch all 6 is fantastic. So if you can't make it, then that's certainly the way to go, and it will be a really good night at Speedway. So as you said, each round offers something different, and I'm sure there'll be a different few faces in there, but it's a good competition, and all the riders are signed up for it, so it's good news for British Speedway.
So let's talk about the lineups then. It's going to be 2 riders from the top 4 in the averages of each team at the time of the meeting, because the competition is going to run between now and September. Clearly things can change within teams, and you could have somebody injured or whatever, so you might be asking, how does that work? So it's the time of the meeting in the averages, so it could be a bit of a movable feast. But right now, here are the lineups for Monday at Peterborough for round 1 of the Premiership Pairs. And what a lineup, though. Here we go. Belle Vue Aces, represented by Max Frick and Brady Kurtz. Ipswich, former world champion Jason Doyle, along with former British champion Danny King. For Kings Lynn, it's Josh Pickering and Richard Lawson. For Peterborough Panthers, Michael Palm-Toft and Chris Bomber Harris. Sheffield Tigers send out Grand Prix star Jack Holder and current British champion Adam Ellis. And for Wolverhampton Wolves, it's Sam Masters and Ryan Douglas. They will also be fielding their rising stars, the respective teams as well, who can take some rides through the course of the meeting. I won't bore you with all the rules and regulations at the moment, but those are the lineups. But it's an absolute stellar lineup. You know, you've got 3 Grand Prix stars there, a world champion, British champions. It's all on show. Absolutely brilliant. And like I say, I think that's something that really stands out about this competition. You know, it's not diluted in any way, shape or form. One of the criticisms over the last few years has been, you know, we don't always get to see the top guys, but as you've just pointed out, there's champions galore, you know, in there, whether it's Grand Prix, national championships, and they're all racers as well. So I think it'll be a fantastic product for the whole season, but also a really good night of racing on Monday, which is something a little bit different. And hopefully, like I say, the fans really get behind it because you know, when you come up with these new ideas, people want changes, and that's what's happened. So we've tried to do that. And also a little bit more freedom, perhaps, for the team managers as well, because one of the rule changes for the Premiership Pairs is that you can make a switch of the gate positions. So you're going to have your riders out in their usual helmet colours, but a rider that might be scheduled to ride off gate 1 can actually be switched to gate 3 relatively short notice, and that's a nightmare for the graphics on the live stream, I can tell you that, but a bit of extra excitement for the fans. Yeah, absolutely. I think we wanted to give the team managers a bit more control over the meetings because, you know, again, it's something that we're looking at, but as a team manager and a former team manager myself, sometimes it's frustrating that in league matches you really only get one roll of the dice sometimes, whereas here, you know, if someone's going better gate 3 and 4, or they prefer the outside line, and you want an option with that, then you as a team manager, you can do that. So I think you'll see a lot of tactics playing out over the meeting as well, which is something that's a little bit fresh. And certainly I think the fans all want to be team managers when they're sat there, and you know, I'm sure it'll give them plenty to talk about as to what they would do, who should be on gate 2 and who should be on gate 4, and so forth. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Something new for Speedway. I mean, it's not. I know the idea of a pairs tournament isn't new, but presented in this way, it is. And I think an extra source of excitement and intrigue for the fans. And of course, if you can't make it to the track, you can watch it wherever you are in the world. You have literally no excuse. It's going to be live streamed, as we mentioned, on the British Speedway Network. Just a word about that service, Dale, because this is something new and it's shone a spotlight on some fantastic racing in the championship so far, and visiting some tracks that we don't ordinarily get to see on the TV, and that's the whole purpose really, to shine a light on these matches, that tremendous speedway racing is happening, and you know, they're not on the TV, so we're going to give people the chance to watch them wherever they may be. Absolutely, and like I say, it's been a fantastic addition. You know, I mean, Eurosport do a great job with the Premiership throughout the year, but we were always lacking extra content. And as you've just said, I think if you sign up to both packages, then that's about 41 meetings, which is phenomenal, you know, and it's for a Speedway fan to watch that and experience different tracks around the country. It's brilliant, and you know, there's a bit of a comedy value with young Mr. Bowen as well from time to time. With his commentary, so, but I think everyone enjoys that. So no, it's been a breath of fresh air, and long may it continue. And you know, who knows? I think the Premiership have dipped their toe into the water with this, and maybe it's something that will be expanded upon in the future. So here are those fixtures in full for the new Premiership Pairs competition, which begins on Monday at Peterborough, May 23rd for Round 1. Round 2 will be at Ipswich at Foxhall Stadium on June the 16th. Round 3, it's Kings Lynn on July the 7th. Round 4 goes to Monmore and Wolverhampton July the 18th. What a week of Speedway for you if you go into the Grand Prix in August, by the way, because after the Grand Prix, the week after, Round 5 is at Sheffield on August 18th. And the final round, it all comes down to the National Speedway Stadium for Round 6 at Belle Vue, September the 12th. So that's those are the fixtures. And Dale, as well, this gives fans of all 6 Premiership clubs something else to cheer for, something else to hope for, because you know, it's another trophy that you could win regardless of your league form.
Absolutely, and as you've just pointed out, you might not be having a great league season, but you could win the pairs and win a trophy in September. So it keeps everyone interested all through the year. And I think you look at all the teams; they've all got really strong top ends. So it could be anybody's. So I think it's really exciting and really looking forward to it.
While we're on the subject of live streaming, busy week for the British Speedway Network. If you are a subscriber to the Championship matches on there, you've got 2 matches coming up this week, because British Speedway Network will be live from Wimborne Road, Poole Stadium, where it's the Poole Pirates versus the Berwick Bandits on Wednesday night, and then back on Friday for the match at Scunthorpe, when the Scunthorpe Scorpions host the Newcastle Diamonds at the Eddie Wright Raceway. On the subject of Poole, obviously they took the decision to drop down a league, Dale, a year or two ago, and having massive success. And I know the fans have come round to it and enjoying the variety of tracks they're visiting in the Championship at the moment. But they hit 58 points against Newcastle, went away to Redcar and won there as well, ending Redcar's home record of being unbeaten. And the Berwick Bandits, though, bringing Chris Bomber Harris to Poole Stadium, back to his old stomping ground. That's going to be quite an explosive one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Poole are always strong at home, and it's, as you said, Poole, Leicester, Glasgow are the real powerhouses. So it's no surprise to see them do so well. But again, Berwick will be going there with Bomber, all action, and he'll be giving it 100%. So I think there's quite a few teams. You've mentioned Redcar, really strong team, and I would think they'll be in the mix as well as we go into the season.
Well, going back to the last meeting at Poole Stadium, it was that big win, 58-32 over Newcastle at Wimborne Road last Wednesday. Steve Worrall scored a paid maximum with 13+2, and he's been speaking after that big win.
Steve Worrall, 15-point paid maximum tonight. Absolutely brilliant. A great win for the Pirates, 58-32. That is just what we wanted.
It is, yeah, and the scoreline doesn't really reflect Newcastle's performance. I think we had to swap a reserve out in one of them to try and just make sure we kept chipping away at our lead, and I thought they gave us a real fight right until the end of the meeting, and we kind of just stretched our legs and got away. But great performance from everyone, and obviously nice to get a win again.
Great job done tonight, but of course now we move on to Friday up at Redcar. Slightly different task up there. Great team. It's going to be tough, isn't it?
It is. It's a tough match. The Redcar are similar to us. We have a bit of a fortress here, and I think they do too. And they've got some riders. When I look at scores at their home track from the early parts of this season, a lot of them are in very good form at Redcar. So it'll be a tough test for us, and hopefully, if we all ride like we did tonight and get our heads down, I'm sure we'll give them a good battle.
And back here next Wednesday, BSN are in town, the British Speedway Network, for Berwick. So again, another tough team. We've got a big week ahead.
That's it. The Berwick are a strong team. They've got Bomber leading them out, and especially when you look at their home form this year, they've been brilliant. So a couple of tough tests for us in the next few weeks. It's nice to go off the back of this, off the back of a nice win. Everyone's positive and rode well, and we'll take that into these next few meetings.
15-point paid maximum tonight. You got a bottle of champagne there. Enjoy it.
I will do. Thank you.
That's Steve Worrall there, I believe, talking to Scott Mitchell, the former BDO World Darts Champion, who is one of the hosts of the live streaming that Poole Speedway do themselves. And he has this great feature where he's taken the dirtometer to the next level. He's got a dartometer, and he comes on the track with this massive 8-foot dart that he sticks in the track. So I think Kelvin's got to raise his game slightly, but it's a great thing. This is No Breaks, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast. In just a couple of moments, we'll run through all the most recent action across the various leagues, and we'll look ahead to the matches coming up over the next week here on No Breaks, No Fear.
No Breaks, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome back. I'm Ian Brannan. I'm joined in this episode by Dale Allitt, Director of Operations at Peterborough and Kings Lynn Speedway, and a co-promoter at Kings Lynn, of course, as well. But lots of experience in the sport. Team manager at Peterborough, team manager at Kings Lynn, and much more besides. We're going to have a look at the fixtures that are coming up over the course of the next 7 days or so now. And, well, first of all, we've had some big results over the course of this week so far. First of all, at Sandy Lane, where an incredible win for the Birmingham Brummies and their new signing Justin Sedgman did the business, scoring 14 points on his debut for the Brummies. He, of course, is replacing Adam Ellis in the side, who's heading off to race a little bit more in Europe. Scott Nichols was top scorer for the Oxford Cheetahs. It finished Oxford 42, Birmingham 48, and 3 big points on the board for the Birmingham Brummies. But more than the result, though, how great it is to have Oxford back in British Speedway, and this great name from the past now back and visiting tracks across the country.
Fantastic to see them back, isn't it? Because it gives hope for all the other clubs. I mean, we've seen lots about Coventry and recently, and let's hope the example that Oxford have set can see other clubs come back as well.
Yeah, fantastic to have them back. The other result from Tuesday night then was at Plymouth, at the Coliseum, where the Plymouth Gladiators made that home advantage count once again, and another good night for Ben Barker. It finished Plymouth 49, Berwick 41. Chris Harris, the top scorer for the Bandits, but another 3 points on the board for Plymouth. Berwick Bandits move on to Poole on Wednesday night, as I mentioned earlier, and that clash you can see live streamed on the British Speedway Network on Wednesday evening. The other fixtures then coming up through the course of this week. We've mentioned about Poole and Berwick, but it's chance for Oxford to exact immediate revenge against the Birmingham Brummies back at Perry Bar on Wednesday evening, getting underway at 7:30. And looking ahead to Thursday in the Premiership, it's your side, Dale Allitt, the Kings Lynn Stars, getting a chance to have another go at the Belle Vue Aces. Of course, the pair met on Monday night at the National Speedway Stadium. Kings Lynn, if you remember, claimed a point there and hoping for 3 points on the board on Thursday night against the Aces.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of a break because of the last meeting being cancelled, and we, as a team at Kings Lynn, they'll want to get points on the board. Like I say, good result on Monday, but they need to finish the job at home. I know Alex will be looking for a home win. 4 points from the 2 meetings will be a good start. Equally, Lemo will be wanting to take 4 points himself. Again, I think as a league as a whole, it's going to be quite tight. You've seen Ipswich go to Wolverhampton and win, but then they lost at home to Sheffield. So probably Belle Vue, Sheffield still on paper anyway, look perhaps the strongest 2 at the moment. But it's all about getting in the playoffs, and once you do that, then it's anybody's, as we've seen many times.
Well, the Sheffield Tigers are in Premiership League Cup action on Thursday night. A rearranged fixture against the Wolverhampton Wolves. Sheffield v Wolves at Overton at 7:30 on Thursday night. And Dale, you've got to say Sheffield, I know a lot of people fancying them to be favourites, but it's hard to argue with that, isn't it, so far? 5 wins on the bounce, and they're looking absolutely unstoppable at the minute.
Yeah, great team. Signing of Muzliak coming in has really bolstered them, and coming on quite a low average, really good value. So, the winner of that, I think Wolves have got to take all 4 points to qualify for the final against Kings Lynn, whereas Sheffield just need to win at home. So, once that happens, then I'm sure the final dates will be wrapped up pretty quickly. So, but yeah, again, you look at every team and they've got some real value. Riders, Ryan Douglas is flying for Wolverhampton. Unfortunately, had a bit of an injury recently, but hopefully he'll be back scoring as he normally does. But you can, like I say, you can look at every team, and I think this year the league's probably stronger than it's been for the last couple of years.
So it's Sheffield versus Wolves at Overton on Thursday night, and the winner will face the Kings Lynn Stars in the final of the Premiership League Cup. But how the fortunes of Kings Lynn have changed, we touched on this earlier, Dale, but to find yourself in a cup final so early in the season, which is a fantastic achievement, quite the contrast to last year.
Yeah, I think over the winter it was very obvious Kings Lynn needed to rebuild after what was really a poor season last year. and go out and freshen things up, which is exactly what's happened with people like Josh Pickering and Richie Hawkins coming in, and Nils Christian Everson, who's been a big plus. Unfortunately, Peter Kilderman got injured at the start of the year and then got injured again. But Nils we've worked out that Nils can stay for the rest of the year, which is great, and the PZM have helped us with that as well. So it's a good fit for everyone.
So just to confirm then, Nils Christian Everson will be staying in the Kings Lynn Stars lineup for the rest of the season?
Yes, he is, yeah.
Which will come as, I think, great relief to a lot of the Kings Lynn Stars fans. Obviously, a bit of uncertainty for a time, but great that you've managed to get this agreement through, and he's going to stay.
No, like I said, lots of talks took place, and Nils wanted to stay, and we managed to come to an agreement with all the federations, really, which is great news. And I think there's a willingness to work together a lot more now between the federations. People are realising that there's not thousands and thousands of speedway riders out there, so we all want the best product that we can have, and we need to work together on that.
Do you see that in maybe next year we might be in a position where those things that maybe tie riders to certain countries might be relaxed a little bit more, and we see a bit more fluidity between the nations?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, there's a lot of talks going on now. I mean, it's not a simple fix, but there's a willingness to go forward with it from all sides, and that's something that perhaps wasn't there a year or two ago, or even pre-COVID. So I think people are realising, like I said, that there's not a massive pool of riders, and we do need to work together to try and ensure that that pool gets bigger, which Discovery Plus are trying to do with the Grand Prix 2 and everything else that they're putting into place. So there's lots of initiatives to try and increase the rider pool and the quality of the product.
Okay, interesting stuff. Watch this space, folks. Let's get back to the upcoming fixtures then. And Friday, well, a big one at Edinburgh. It's the Edinburgh Monarchs versus the Redcar Bears. Meanwhile, elsewhere in Scotland, the Glasgow Tigers host the Poole Pirates. What a fixture that is at the top of the championship table. And the fixture that's going to be live streamed on the British Speedway Network on Friday is from the Eddie Wright Raceway, Scunthorpe Scorpions versus the Newcastle Diamonds. Now, I know Newcastle haven't had the best start to the season, but they've been picking up some impressive guests along the way to fill in for Bradley Wilson-Dean, and there could be a surprise package here, and this meeting could be a little closer than a few are expecting.
Yeah, I think it's key to who Newcastle bring as a guest. There's a few teams not riding. If they can find a track specialist to come, I think it could be quite an entertaining meeting. But to me, that's key. That they've got to find someone that can ride Scunthorpe well. They've got a couple of riders that can also do that. So I think that could be a better fixture than what perhaps people initially think. Redcar Edinburgh as well. I mean, there's lots of big guns there, isn't there? There's Sam Masters, we've mentioned Pickering. There's Eric Riss, former British champion Charles Wright, and Lewis Kerr as well. So lots of great speedway up and down the country. So if you can't get to your track, then watch it on BSN, and follow your local teams.
Now, I'm not sure if Chris Harris will be in the market for filling in for Bradley Wilson-Dean, because he is heading to Hungary on Saturday, to Nagahalas, for the European Championship qualifier number 3. He's our only British participant in that tournament, and of course at stake a place in the Speedway European Championships. And far from being done with Speedway, here's Chris Harris, who's guesting day in, day out, it seems, at the moment. He's all over the place, seems to be racing pretty much every day, and competing for a place in the European Championships too. It's great to see.
Yeah, there's a running joke at Peterborough where we think that Bomber could actually ride for almost every team in the UK by the end of the year, guesting, which he's well on the way to doing already. So, you can never write Bomber off. He never knows when he's beaten. I think it's all down to what the track will be there on the day, because if there's a little bit of grip on the track, Bomber's brilliant, and he'll use that, and he'll pass people, and he's got a really good chance. I think if it's hard and slick, and that's going to be a bit more difficult for him, because they're not the conditions he loves. But certainly, if the track's good, then I'm sure he'll put on a show and hopefully get a qualification spot.
I don't think there's a track that Bomber can't ride, though, and I think the tracks that a lot of the riders maybe will say, oh, it's not right or whatever, Bomber just seems to just get on with it, whether it's ruts or whatever, just plough through it. Probably the grass track background maybe, but he's unfazed.
Yeah, it's great to work with because, like you say, you've just hit the nail on the head. He never whinges. He just goes out, rides what's there, really. It's a breath of fresh air in that way because, sometimes tracks are difficult, but he will go out and lead by example. And whether it's his background or he's a little bit crazy as well, as we all know with Bomber, so probably a bit of everything, to be fair.
I think every Speedway rider has got that little bit of crazy in them just to do it in the first place. Let's crack on with the rest of the fixtures that are happening. I mentioned the Championship fixtures. There's a National Development League fixture on Friday. Belle Vue Colts hosting the Leicester Lion Cubs. And also in the National Development League on Saturday, Berwick Bullets host the Kent Royals. And it's the Leicester Lion Cubs hosting Mildenhall Fen Tigers on Saturday. Both those fixtures get underway at 7 o'clock. And then on Sunday, it's the Redcar Bears hosting the Edinburgh Monarchs, a rare Sunday fixture at the Echo Arena. It gets underway at 5 o'clock, which is great in the northeast because the planned fixture for Newcastle, who were going to be taking on Scunthorpe, that's been rearranged. Of course, Newcastle having some track work done at the moment. And then the fixture after that will be Monday and the Premiership Pairs. Round 1, we've talked quite a bit about that, but it gets underway at Peterborough. 7:30 the start time. Dale Allitt, just to ask you, is there any changes to how people go about getting the tickets? You can just turn up at the gate. There's no prior booking required or any limitations or changes to prices or anything that people should know?
Yeah, same kind of price as normal admission, so nothing's changed there. Just turn up on the day and pay on the gate, which is we've been doing for a while, but as well as online ticketing. But on this occasion, it is just pay on the day. We've got plenty of space. You get 2,300 in the grandstand, so it'll be a good meeting. I mean, do get there a little bit early if you want a good seat, because it's first come, first served. That you don't pay extra to be in the grandstand, but there's loads of great viewing around the showground. So wherever you are, you will get a good view of the racing.
Really looking forward to it. Looking forward to my first trip to Peterborough, actually. I've never been to Peterborough Speedway in person until now. I've been there many times watching it on the TV, but I've never actually been in person. And it's because I live hundreds of miles away, frankly. That's the reason why. And heading there for the first time with the British Speedway Network on Monday. And don't forget, wherever you are in the world, you can watch it online as well if you can't make it in person. £49 for a season pass for the 6 fixtures to cover the Premiership Pairs competition. So get in there now while that deal is there, and you can enjoy all the action between now and September when it all wraps up at the National Speedway Stadium in Manchester. Good luck to everybody taking part in it. Hoping for some safe racing, some fast and exciting racing, and here's to a great meeting. And good luck to you as well, Dale Allitt, for that meeting, because being operations director, no doubt you've got a bit of extra work on your plate. But thanks for joining us on the podcast today. It's been a pleasure, and we'll speak soon.
Great. Thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you then.
My thanks once again to Dale Allitt, operations director at Peterborough and Kings Lynn Speedway, for his thoughts on the action that's both coming up and that's been happening over the past few days or so. That wraps it up for No Brakes, No Fear for this week. Thanks for your company. Don't forget to keep up to date with everything happening across British Speedway online on our social media pages. You can find it all on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And we will be back next Wednesday with another episode of No Brakes, No Fear, looking back on the action from the opening round of the Premiership Pairs competition and whatever else has been happening over the last 7 days. At the point of recording this, we don't know yet, but listen to the next episode to find out. Thanks for listening once again, and we'll be back next week.
No Brakes, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast.
Sports Social Podcast Network.